space in my office. We got actually 2 floors. One floor that is just for me and for the meetings, and an additional floor upstairs right here where the office and team and staff is working. Right now it's a bit early in the morning, so people start to arrive. 2 of them actually, Salasa and Fabien, and the other ones will arrive later. Here, as you can see, this is mainly for sketching, computers, easy mock-ups, large table for checking stuff, materials, prototypes, pieces and meetings. We are working on a wide range of projects that can go from specific commission for clients or limited edition pieces or larger commission or larger edition pieces or for brands, might be for product or it might be also for interior design. So basically, and since the very beginning, I never want to choose any specific field in the design world. I never trust in the hand. I mean, your hand, when you are a designer, is able to design a lot of things, but you have to control it. And if you let your hand design by itself, your hand will design always the same type of things, always the same type of forms, always the same type of style. So I stop my hands and I try to always get a clear idea and a clear vision of the thing I want to design first in mind. And it might be, I can work on a project for several months without making any sketches, just by designing, but just in my mind, but changing the materials, changing the scale, the shape. You know, for me an office is like a sheet of paper. If you want to get your mind clear enough to design something, it's supposed to be interesting, it's supposed to be innovative, it's supposed to be beautiful sometimes. You need to work from a blank sheet of paper. If you start to work with something with a lot of things, scratches, previous drawings on it, you're going to be polluted by that. We try to keep it as empty as we can, as clean as we can, and as blank as we can. Always to be able to reset your mind for the upcoming project. I remember the project I made when I was a student. It was my graduate school project. It was a project on the medicine, and a designer is never supposed to design the medicine. Medicine is something too complex. That is just for scientists, because it's a question of molecules, question of active principle, question of pills, whatever the shape of the medicine. And I wanted to design those objects because these objects talk to us. And if I do not believe in my pill, I will not take them. And we know that to be in good health, to avoid, to increase your infection or whatever the illness you could get, you need to follow your treatment carefully. And for that, it's not only a question of molecules, it's a question of creating a relationship between an object, a pill is an object, and the patient. So I wanted to design different type of medicine to explain to the scientific world that it's not only a world dedicated for scientists, but also a world that is addressing to human beings, and the designer has to help you to create the right shape, ritual, tone of voice you want to get with your patient.
Is it a real mushroom?
Of course it is. This is more in terms of inspiration, forms, this very initial sample, this, for example, system for heater made out of copper, just to show you that inspiration and stuff and object can come from a very different place and a very different field. And the way to use it's going to be different. So it's going to be at the end to select the right stone for a piece. It's more to be inspired in a very early idea or intuition. This is going to be more to explain that even the thing that is not supposed to be seen, this is some very technical elements that's supposed to be inside a computer or whatever. It's not supposed to be seen, but even this needs to be well designed. Even if you're not able to see it, you feel it. Of course, there is a big difference between, for example, an object that will be made by machining marble block, made in 2, 5, 10 pieces, and on the other side working on a technological device that is supposed to be produced by a million pieces. The one is going to be simple in terms of process, the other one is going to be super complex because connected with many components and elements inside. But at the end of the day, for me, it's absolutely the same. Between the designer and the architect, it's, for me, this opposite way of working. The architect always consider the site, the place that he's supposed to work, as initially as a god. I mean, view from the sky, and with a plan, and step by step, it's gonna arrive at the scale of the human being. I work on the opposite way. Here we are most working initially from the human being that is supposed to be the final target or the most important piece into the project, and from the human being we're going to build the project from this scale. The architect go from the big size to details, and from me to you, not always perfect in terms of details. And in my perspective and in the team perspective, we always start with basically the scale of the hands, scale of the fingers, what you're gonna touch, see, experience, and from that, building the project. Main interest for me and the common link between all those different applications is the human being. You can call it patient, you can call it client, you can call it consumer, you can call it user, you can call it what you want. It's the same, it's a human being. That is a complex entity with a psychology, with belief, with a cultural, with a body, with dreams, with fears, with all of things. And as you know, a human being needs to get a technical device in the pocket, but at the same time need to be in contact with a historical piece or need to be in contact with an art piece. And we are all of that. So as a designer, I don't want to become a specialist into technical device, or to be specialist into residential interior design, or to be specialist into art and design piece. No, if you consider that the human being needs to be in contact with all of this, as a designer, I want to be in contact also with all of this. For that, you need to learn a lot, always being aware about new process, new materials, new technique, everything. But this is the most easy part of the job. The most complex part of the job is understanding what a human being is.
Do you work with exclusively French artisans?
Not exclusively, but exclusively in so far in Europe. Because the first thing is we need to find the best ones, and we need to find the one that I want to spend weeks and months and years with. So it's also a human relationship. I mean, if you meet an artisan and you do not believe at the initial stage in your idea, or it starts to, oh, it's gonna be difficult, it's gonna be long, it's gonna be expensive, you say, okay, you know what? Sorry to disturb you, but I will find another plan. Philippe Starck is a great designer, but is also a great marketing guy. I mean, as soon as he makes something, he's always try to say, this is the very first time. Actually, it's not. Actually, it's not. Since a very long time that designers or engineers and a lot of people working with computers to optimizing shape. It's very, very long history of forms, even quite long before included in his work. Just to give you an example, the pieces I made since 10 years ago now with the waves. With the waves machine into marble blocks are made thanks to artificial intelligence. since a long time, I wanted to recreate the real effect of the sea or the real effect of the ocean, I mean with the waves, but into something that is not liquid, into something like stone, like marble, that's supposed to be the most static element. And I didn't want it to become a sculpture. I mean that by copy-paste, like you would get a photo of the waves and you not like that, tick, 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 like Rodin or Michelangelo could have done. But I wanted to be able to get, I don't want to give my interpretation of the waves, I want to get the real waves. So for that, we use and we keep using artificial intelligence to be able, thanks to the computer, to recreate the reality of what occurs in the liquid state. I mean, by this type of softwares, you do not control the shape of the waves, you only control the currents and the wind. So thanks to your screen, but you can put a current like this, a current like this, and the wind like this. And the waves will arrive. And when you feel that the liquid landscape, the liquid scape is interesting, you freeze it and you take these 3D files to be able to machine into a block. So all this process, even if at the end, when some people are in front of those liquid marble pieces, no one thinks about the process. No one is able to know every step, every milestone of the process, from the artificial intelligence to the computer to the softwares. It's included into the piece, but it's not like made by AI. No, it's at the end I want to create for the people this type of emotion that I see. It's not the real ocean, but it creates for me the same type of mood and it put me in the same type of state. So this is what is important for me. Whatever the tools you're going to use, whatever the process, and whatever the marketing sentence you're going to use to explain it. The idea of inverted gravity, it's, as its name means, invert the standard vision of things. I mean, usually the heavy things is supposed to be on the floor, and the fragile things, the vase, it's supposed to be on top of it. And one morning I arrived in my desk, just next to here. I was a bit tired by this permanent vision of things, and I wanted to check if it might be possible to inverse. Just like if you would live in a kind of zero gravity world, that there is no more heavy things, no more light things, everything is floating into the air. And I gave a call to my glass blower, and I asked him, do you think it might be possible to put weight, huge weight actually, on glass? I work with glass since a long time, so I knew that glass is supposed to be able to resist, because people always keep in mind that no, glass is fragile, but glass is not fragile. And I received a video a few days after. He blew the very first globe with blown glass, but this size actually, and he put 10 kilos, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, up to 250 kilos on one glass globe. And he called me after and told me, do you want me to keep going? Because this globe is supposed to support more than 250 kilos, but maybe you can go up, probably. But I said, no, it's okay. It's more than enough. So the process started by this way, just by checking if the very first initial hypothesis was able to work. And from that, I've created a collection of several pieces, from sideboard, a console, a dining table, even a bench, for people to experience the fact that I can sit on glass. Since the very beginning of the human journey, I mean, when we were into the cave, when we were a prehistoric guy, we were already sharing some stuff. We were sharing the fire, we were sharing the food, we were sharing the house, the cave itself, but we get some specific elements just for me or just for you. That might be my clothes, that might be my stone to fight and to hunt the mammoths. This balance has always exist. It's at the end always a question of proportion. So today, and thanks to the digital economy, we are able to work in this idea of sharing, but in a more massive way. And it's a very good thing. It's a very good thing. Of course, it's absolutely insane to make everybody getting his own car in a city of Paris where it's impossible to drive. When you can see into the street the space occupied by a car that's gonna ride maybe at maximum 1 hour on 24, so it's absolutely insane. So of course there is a lot of elements that needs to be shared. We have arrived in a world that the large quantity of things become not the very best move we could have. It made sense just after the World War II when people need to get a shelter, home appliance, one table for my kids and to have a dinner. So we have at this moment of the history to produce quick, fast, a lot, and super cheap. But now our home in this world are full of objects, full of useless objects, and people start to say that it's too much, it's too much. And probably our parents, our grandparents, since and because of the history, we are thinking that the more you will get at home, the more you feel confident. Okay, whatever what can occur in this world, I got my object around me, so I'm not so poor, and they protect me in a way. And we arrive in a moment that it's not protection anymore, it's just pollution. Pollution for your mind, pollution for your home, pollution for the space, pollution for the planet, pollution for everything. What is going to be interesting is we probably be able in the very close future to find out the right balance between I'm okay to share the functional element, but I want to keep, for me, very specific ones. And those specific ones is the ones that you really need. And not only in terms of function, but in terms of you need them to live. And this is the mission of art. This is probably the mission of collectible design. This is the mission of some pieces that you want to get for any reason. Because the materials, because it reminds you something, because when you see it, you feel stronger, you feel more alive, whatever the reason.